are on series point. This is huge for them. This would be the organization's first appearance at Worlds. There's just so much behind this series, and you can see it on the Rift with how tense these games are getting for them. They can see it in their eyes. One game left for them. Meanwhile, Cloud9, North America's historically best performing organization at Worlds, also want to get their early ticket punched. Right off the bat, their strategy is going to be, once again, double banning Santorin. No surprises there after the start to the series.
Right. After the start to the series, having to deal with the Lilia, Cloud9 have been first banning that ever since. Now the Graves banned away after seeing what Santorin was able to do on it in the previous game. They can't allow that one to go through. Cloud9 has chosen to be back on the blue side. They're going to first pick the Ezreal yet again. It's going to be Ezreal Yuumi until the sun goes down. Caitlyn's banned away. Set, Olaf, Kalista all banned away. And it looks like Shen will continue to be the sauce for FlyQuest in the top lane as well. A lot of the draft has been largely figured out here in this series, Kobe.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be stubborn in that they feel that both teams feel that they can continue to improve on their play to get these wins. There's so many people, and I included, was like, all right, well, Ezreal Yuumi has scaled. There's no way that they're going to be able to kill the Ezreal Yuumi. Boom! You know, face check into brush or something. Oh, boom! FlyQuest get a flank on him. Boom! They hit a Senna snare on him, and they kill him, and they do it. So you can see it from both perspectives, where FlyQuest are like, yes, we can keep killing it, and Cloud9 are like, all right, we're going to play better this time. You're not going to beat us with this composition. You're not going to beat us with the same strategy. Both teams digging in, being stubborn here, and in situations like that where you have a standoff, you go to the advantage of the team that actually has been winning more of the games. So FlyQuest once again rack it up. The Volibear, Shen, and Senna, they will have that engaged. Again, they're going to have their global. Cloud9 are happy to get the early gangplank. Good matchup into Shen once again, though.
And this will be the first time in this series that Santorin plays a repeat champion here. The Volibear was the champion that he was piloting in the game that they lost earlier, game number 2 of the series. We'll see if he can have a better performance here in this game, not accidentally running underneath the tier 1 turret at level 3. That was the tragedy of that game for them last time around. Second half of the bans have come through. LeBlanc and Azir banned away. Cloud9 really respecting how well Power of Evil has been playing in this series so far, wanting to give 2 bans towards him. FlyQuest bans out the Akali. They do not want to be dealing with that one again, as well as taking Trundle off the table just like they did last time when they picked Volley.
And some quicker engage this time around. With the Rakan up here for Ignar, it's by far one of his most favorite champions to play. Always puts a lot of high priority on it. And a Rakan with a Shen, suddenly some of the plays where people critique Ignar for going too risky, super deep flanks, deep in enemy territory, trying to find these big game-breaking flanks to win the game. If you have a Shen on top of the Rakan, those become extremely dangerous. That being said, they're really going to have to set up Power of Evil. Power of Evil, once again, getting counter pick for last. He's got to pick a very high damage scaling mid laner. You know, Corki is an option here that's still left up. Orianna, another option for him. They already have good ball delivery systems, but they go with the Malzahar.
Okay. So Malzahar locked in. This normally isn't the champion that you think of to put your playmaker, like your carry, your pop-off guy on. He's Malzahar's kind of like the mage version of Skarner. He's purple, and you press R on the guy that you want to die, and that's pretty much it. The champion doesn't have a lot of crazy outplay potential. He does make your opponents pay the QSS tax. It's not as vital for Gangplank because eating the oranges does actually get you out of suppressions, but the Malzahar ulti on any target like a Zoe or an Ezreal that is not prepared with a QSS, and remember, a lot of people don't actually know this, Mikhail's Crucible does not work on suppressions. Cleanse does not work on suppressions. QSS and Gangplank oranges are the only thing that's going to get you out of a suppression. So it must be QSS. The Yuumi is not allowed to buy a Mikhail's to get somebody out of trouble. And Malzahar is going to demand that out of Zoe and Ezreal in particular, or he's just going to set up kills.
Yeah, and Sven has done a lot of flashes forward and arcane shifts forward. So Malzahar is a pick that can make him either second guess that play style or try to punish it. If he is doing those things, yes, he is probably going to pay the QSS tax and should,
I would hope.
because the Ezreal Yumi
I would hope.
definitely needs to remain mobile. But I will also say the Malzahar matchup into Zoe, when you have ground targeted things like the silence, when Zoe does ultimate forward, you can land these abilities, and it is easier to hit those. If Malzahar ults Zoe as she ults forward, she still snaps back, but you'll be suppressed when you snap back.
Right. And when she does snap back, the thing is, though, remember, Malzahar's eye beam, the laser thing, doesn't really do the damage. It's the puddle that he creates underneath you. So when Zoe snaps back, she will be taking less damage than she otherwise would, because the puddle is still on the ground. So I will be interested to see how well this Malzahar pick works for them. Malzahar is not a champion we've seen a lot of recently.
Yeah. And, you know, he does have the passive for the spell shield, but there's so much poke on Cloud9's team. Once again, they still have the Ezreal, Yumi, and Zoe, so something's going to knock that passive off.
Yeah, something is going to make sure that he's not getting maximum value out of that. But this is do or die time for Cloud9, man. Can't drop any more games. They clearly have confidence in this Ezreal and Yumi and Gangplank setup, this powerful disengaged team that can create these zones of control with things like Yumi ult and Gangplank ult. But they've already lost a couple of games. They've got to get this win here, or they're going down to the losers bracket, and it's FlyQuest that'll be going to Worlds. Blabber on the Lee Sin, on that playmaker champion. We'll see if he can get the ball rolling here for these guys. Remember, 2 out of 3 of the games that have been played so far, it's been Blabber dying at level 1 for first blood.
Exactly. We've been hitting on it all series long. You need to keep hitting on it until Cloud9 get their defenses in place. Get those defensive wards down. Watching the entrances here, make sure Santorin and FlyQuest don't make it happen again. That being said, this is not a FlyQuest comp that is super well set up to pull off one of those level 1s. The one thing that you would have to look for whenever there's a Rakan on the enemy team, and especially if it is Ignar, watch the back of the pit to see if Ignar will jump over it. On your screen here, thank you, observers. That's why Blabber is watching the back of the Dragon Pit right now, like a hawk.
Yep.
Obviously, FlyQuest had the Gragas game previously in playoffs where they pulled that exact strategy off. Rakan does the same thing with the W, and Cloud9 are watching their defenses.
Cloud9 making sure that Blabber, it's even in odd games. In the odd games of 1 and 3, Blabber got bopped. And in the even games of 2 and 4, he didn't get bopped at level 1. It's just the rules of League of Legends here today. Is power
just
of
the rules.
evil.
We don't make them.
Yeah, we're just abiding by those rules watching the game right now. Power of Evil and Niski having a couple of those early mage auto attack trades where your spell's not much better than your basic auto attack at level 1, so you just sort of slap the guy a little bit. And Power of Evil won't have any lane control early on here.
Yeah, Malzahar's struggle early on is very real. I always like to look at Malzahar players early and actually see how many CS they can get, because it's such a struggle with your level 1 spells for Malzahar not helping a whole lot, with it being kind of weak damage over time, and trying to utilize your weaker auto attacks to get the last hits as well. We'll see how much Power of Evil can do. Obviously, once you get a couple levels in your abilities for Malzahar, then you get to kind of brainlessly auto push the wave and try and get some space that way to deal with the Zoe. But Ignar makes one of his patented early roams as he pushes up with Turtle, and they just check on bottom river.
And I want to see if Turtle can get up to that insane range on the Senna again. Remember, every 20 stacks gives him 25 extra auto attack range. Last game, he built the rapid fire cannon, which ends up giving him an extra 150 because it's the maximum value the item is allowed to give over. And those rapid fire procs were just coming from all the way across the lane, being able to help poke at these opponents and give FlyQuest those advantages that they needed and have that damage potential they were looking for in the fights. Solo, man, he must just really be used to playing this Shen versus Gangplank matchup by now. It's not a fun matchup. It's not an easy job, but hey, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, man, practice your barrel timing for killing off those Gangplank barrels. We saw Impact with his Shen into Gangplank just stomping on the barrels, getting it every time. But previously, I liked your point on Turtle. This is a guy who is one of the most veteran players that we have still in the LCS. Such a long career. You know, even from the long days on TSM, where he started out joining the LCS, coming in and taking Chaos's position. For FlyQuest, he has played the utility marksman role so incredibly well. His Senna skill shots finding their way, you know, critically to Sven for a lot of these plays, poking people out, as you're saying. Solo does get ganked, though.
Solo having to use the flash there to escape as Blabber shows up to help Licorice out. Summoner spell expended as Solo will drop a ward in the brush. Blabber's just backing on top of that, doesn't really care. At least Solo knows that he's gone now and can go back to getting shot by these Qs over and over again.
And bottom side, Santorin went for a pass. If you looked at the mini-map during that time, seeing Blabber on top side, he went for a pass on a bottom side gank and was unable to you know, get any summers out. But
Sven with the flash over the wall. This is going to be a battle. It's Ignar looking for a potential play there onto Niski. And now FlyQuest is walking everybody away. Santorin calls down the lightning, but he's not going to find any sort of a target here just yet. Flash still ready to go to get him out of this one. Exhaust used by Cloud9. Ignar with the flash over the wall to keep himself alive. Lots of summoner spells being used by both sides here.
Yep, this is where all chat is just now, or not all chat, team chat is filled with
probably not all chat.
cooldowns. Probably not all chat unless you're trying to tilt them and you're like, haha, you know, Niski, no flash, Sven, no flash, got you. It definitely is a strategic attempt there if you're trying to play the mental game sometimes. But on that invade, you know, Santorin and Ignar's flashes traded for the two carry flashes there in Niski and Sven, in addition to the exhausts. Going down as well as the heals, so a lot of timing now for these cooldowns to track for both sides. It would be possible for Santorin to try and punish Niski because down on that roam, now having no flash, no heal on Zoe, and Malzahar, you know, with the setup with the ultimates, it's definitely possible to chain that CC for a big punish. Niski does switch over to Barrier, though, with his Summoner Spellbook, so he's not left completely out to dry.
Yeah, and when we talk about suppression champions and we talk about the QSS tags, the thing that's important to remember is most players will not prioritize QSS over their first item. Usually, even when you have to pay your taxes, you're getting your first item completed. You're going for that Luden's Echo or whatever it is you want to go for. Zoe almost always picks the Echo. And then after that, then you can look for the QSS, which means up until that first item is done, there is a window open for Power of Evil and Santorin to try to make those plays, go for the point-and-click sure thing, and pick up some free money.
I like watching the little exchanges here in the Shen Gangplank matchup that we've come to know and love in the top side.
A staple.
The split seconds between Solo putting up the Spirit's Refuge to get the block off on the right timing. You can see when Licorice kind of walks at him to fake and make him second guess when he's going to fire it off. And then obviously trying to dash out of the barrel chain when he's not close enough to kill the first barrel. But Blabber has returned for the camp.
Here again.
Set it up.
Oop. There you go. There's your dash away from the barrel. Blabber jumps in, looking for a move. Here we go. There's your kick flash. The ulti called down from the Gangplank, but Santorin's joining up in the fight. He's only level 5. The Volibear's not in good shape. He's already used the flash earlier. Stand United's got to be used now by the Shen to keep Santorin alive. The critical difference between level 6 and level 5 on the junglers really showing up here.
Yeah, that was too much from Santorin. He showed up, hey, I'm here for the counter gank, and it seemed like, you know, wanted to participate more, but Solo had already gained the distance under the tower, and Santorin going for the little trade there is a big punish. Now Stand United, first Stand United, burned here for FlyQuest without any proactive use. It's just a defensive one up at the turret to keep the jungler alive who had just kind of arrived for, you know, reinforcements to make sure the dive doesn't go off. So Cloud9 I think will be very happy with that. As you
Absolutely.
mentioned, you know, the difference in level 5 to level 6 is basically one of the biggest breakpoints in the game. You know, ultimate ability, obvious.
Right.
And C9, now this is going to be so much different for them as they don't have to worry about that global. Plus Blabber, with the level lead for jungle, can actually play his Blabber style, trying to force something without having to worry about, you know, top lane extra global coming through.
Yeah, if the Volibear had an ulti there in that fight, things would have been very different. He would have got the extra health, had so much more burst down onto the Lee Sin. Things could have told a very different story. Generally, unless you're playing something like I don't know, Udyr, level 5 to level 6.
Hey, I play that champ, bro.
Okay, well look, man,
like
if you're playing Udyr, your level 6 is the least of your worries because then you're also still stuck playing Udyr.
Caveat: I actually don't play that champ anymore.
I was gonna say I haven't seen you play Udyr in forever. If I knew you actually played him, I wouldn't talk smack about him. But I haven't seen you play him. The last time I talked to you, you were on some Olaf grind.
That's true. I had to chat up. He's a little bit more powerful. Dragon being taken here by Cloud9, or excuse me, by FlyQuest. Attempted steal from Cloud9 with the Ezreal ultimate over the top. But I like the move. You know, obviously it's an Ezreal Yuumi bottom lane on tier.
Okay, Solo finding Blabber here yet again. Blabber is paying so much attention to this top side of the map. He's going to get a solo kill onto Solo here. Doesn't end up being a solo kill after all. The Sleepy Trouble Bubble from Niski will make sure he gets assist money, and everything's working out there for Cloud9. Blabber finally getting that kill.
Yeah, Niski had already predicted and cut off the escape with a bubble over the wall here. And Blabber still falls with the Q. Make sure that he gets the kill. So the flashless now top laner as well. I mean, what a punish here. The control ward up in the brush is why Blabber was able to use that blast cone so effectively. They see Solo going for these, honey fruit in the river. Niski had predicted the flash over the top already, but Blabber also able to finish that one off and secure the kill for himself. He's definitely going for a cleaver with a double ruby crystals here.
Yeah, buddy. Yes, sir.
So no lethality rush, which is definitely not recommended when you're facing a bunch of tanks like he is.
No, absolutely not. Black Cleaver, I think, is 100% the right play here on the Lee Sin. And honestly, Cloud9 have themselves a nice little gold lead here early on, almost up to 1,000 gold, getting the money plus extra assist thanks to Niski landing that trouble bubble onto the Shen right before he died.
It's honestly big, you know. It's a team extra 50% gold on that kill.
Yeah, it's 200 more gold than you would have otherwise got. As Solo's in some trouble yet again. Cloud9 is just focusing this man over and over. That tent emote, 100% honest. There is no tilt in that whatsoever because it is true. Blabber went down to the sporting goods shop. He found the nicest tent he could find, probably got some s'mores material, some mosquito repellent, everything he needs to go on a wilderness excursion, and my man has been camping since the start of the game.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Solo's going to have much of fun in this game. And we said in game number 1, Flowers, they're going to keep picking it. Well, Stand United comes in.
Stand United trying to make the play here. Nice. Gets the taunt onto Niski. And Solo gets himself on the board. He is tired of being picked on. He is the one now picking on others.
Yeah, I mean, showing the reason that you picked the Shen. But we said in game number 1, they're going to keep blind picking Shen until someone is able to effectively and demonstrably destroy it, punish it. And this is really the first time where we have had a big enough difference to actually cause that reaction. So maybe we'll see it if it does extend it this series and Cloud9 are able to push it to the game 5, changing up in the end here. But this is what you generally kind of are looking for in that sort of punish. And Blabber sticking to his guns on the top side. Those repeated ganks finding Cloud9 the advantage. With Rift Herald picked up and used to just burn right through that first turret. All turret plates acquired on the top side. And it has caused Cloud9 to take a beating in their bottom turret. You know, when you leave the Ezreal Yuumi early stages of your lane phase, it's already going to be weak, and you show your jungler top, that's the obvious place for FlyQuest to attack, and they've done so just to a lesser degree.
13 minutes of 2,000 gold lead. Well, I guess it's closer to 1,500 gold. I don't want to over-embellish things here, but still, good lead early on for Cloud9. So much of it being there for Licorice in that top side, the farm advantages that Gangplank has just from being Gangplank, and then 2 kills on Blabber's Lee Sin as well, staying ahead of his opponent in the Volibear, making sure he's going to be relevant as this game moves forward, as we get into the mid-games and some bigger fights. In the previous game where we saw the Volibear versus Lee Sin matchup back in game number 2, we saw Blabber just get exploded in a couple of the mid-game fights because he wasn't far enough ahead into his own build to make sure that he didn't just get one shot. So very important for him to maintain these advantages here as FlyQuest tries to back away. Gangplank ulti is summoned up. Sleepy Trouble Bubble not going to find the mark here. Power of Evil with the ulti down onto the enemy jungler. You cannot outplay the point and click. Sven running away. He's going to go over the wall probably, but Solo is right here waiting. Taunt over the wall looking for the kill. Sven is gone. Santorin's chasing down the cat. Power of Evil will fall to Licorice. Vulcan trying to stay alive. He's ulting all on his lonesome. That cat is on the run. He's homeward bound, but he's going down. Niski and Licorice, the last 2 men standing. Solo trying to keep these guys in place while the rest of the team comes around. FlyQuest will not get these last 2 kills, but they will win that fight.
What a huge turn there for FlyQuest, setting them up to continue stacking dragons. This was during the discrepancy in globals from the top side. Gangplank Ultimate was up and Stand United was on cooldown. That's why Cloud9 make the call to force, but the teleport coming in from Solo, Power of Evil making the call to turn right back around on Blabber. As you were just talking about the previous instances where Blabber got CC chained down from 100% to 0, guess what? They actually layer all of the CC. They're even overlapping. That was 4 different forms. That was Malzahar suppression, then Ignar into Charm knockup, and Santorin used the Q stun from Volibear. So they annihilate Blabber. Then they corral themselves into the back of the Dragon Pit. Heal trying to come over the back of the wall there. And Santorin chasing through the top side to finish up the other kill. Just kind of break Cloud9. After the early numbers advantage they're able to get from 100% to zeroing Blabber. Good chase down from them as they collapse from all sides and the teleport did come in.
That to me felt like a I haven't played against Malzahar in a year type of play, where you forget how much range that ultimate has and how easy it is to find yourself just stuck as you're suppressed and unable to escape. Total damage dealt to champions in last fight. That is indeed a big ol' 0, as Blabber was never able to do a single thing before he found himself killed in that fight. That ends up making it so FlyQuest is able to take the victory, and this game is another close one, Kobe.
Yeah. And yeah, I can definitely see or theorize how and why that kind of call comes up as we're talking about, you know, oh, Stand United was just used on their kill on Niski. We got to punish them. But the Malzahar ultimate came back up quicker, and they're able to get it. Here we go, root onto him.
Okay, but the suppression down onto Sven, keeping him controlled, and FlyQuest finds the kill onto the enemy AD carry. Now the shields are coming out from Ignar, keeping Power of Evil alive, and just like in previous games, Power of Evil proves so hard to actually kill. Cloud9 will find their AD carry dead here again, but they will get the tier 1 turret in the bottom lane.
FlyQuest Stand United once again, rallying around their mid laner, keeping Power of Evil alive. Solo. The shield is up, the shield is used. And they defend, they get the counter kill here. Obviously, we saw on screen the split push continued for Licorice. He just opted to use his ult to try and help with the attempted kill instead of actually joining with a teleport. So he keeps his teleport cooldown, takes the bottom tower for C9. And though they do still have their gold lead, these continued attempted looks for C9 being turned around on them by answers from FlyQuest are really taking their toll. And with FlyQuest stacking up the dragons while some of these kills are being given back over, does start to be an area of concern.
Right. FlyQuest have forced out their first QSS of the game. That one is built by Niski, already completed along with the Hextech GLP. You can see Black Cleaver now online for Blabber's Lee Sin. I expect him to probably be going for a QSS before too much longer as well. Otherwise, every time he gets close, he'll just instantly die. And you can see the Null Magic Mantle in Sven's inventory will also probably be going for a QSS here pretty soon. Yumi doesn't have to worry about it because she should always be attached to somebody else. And Gangplank, of course, has his oranges to get out of trouble. So those other three, though, are going to need to make sure those taxes are filed away.
Yep, I mean, looks like it'll be the case. Riftail does leash control words in the back, so FlyQuest, they do have full vision, but you see this little timer on the Stand United for solo. Unless they're able to actually delay, wouldn't expect them to fight over second Herald. It's not nearly as big a deal since turret plate reward isn't on the map, so it's not easily as instant gold reward.
Yeah, good objective pickup there from Cloud9, being able to take advantage of that window where Solo's ultimate was not yet ready to go here again. Solo doing a pretty good job keeping up in farm compared to Licorice. He's not even down by 20 CS, where in previous games he could have been down by up to 50. So making sure to keep this one a little bit closer. Of course, having the 2 kills on him does put that extra money in his pocket to make him less afraid of Gangplank just beating the snot out of him over and over again. Allows him to have a little bit more presence, stand up a little bit straighter in that lane, and tell Gangplank, no, go away. I'm going to farm up these minions. You can farm up your minions. We'll have a gentleman's agreement. And Santorin on the Volley Bear too, man. 3-0-1. Things were, I was a little bit concerned when we saw in the top lane that 2v2 where he almost got killed at level 5. I was thinking, oh no, is this going to turn into like the first Volley Bear game where Santorin's overestimating his own strength? But 3-0-1 on the champ here so far, having a good showing.
Yeah, and even with the nerf to the move speed on Q, he's rushed the kind of the boots of swiftness here for the extra speed in combat. Works as well for him, so still can provide that engage they're looking for with the Volibear. Dragon number 3 racked up for FlyQuest once again, and it's kind of part of the reason that people have been very questionable of Cloud9's focus on the Ezreal Yumi, because the bottom lane can get punished really early while the Ezreal Yumi is scaling up. You give over a lot of the early dragons. That's also because FlyQuest have, mostly used really good Shen Stand Uniteds and Shen teleports from solo, but now they're on Soul Point at only 20 minutes into the game. And of course, Infernal Soul really does supplement a lot of the kind of missing damage maybe that you'll have on FlyQuest. They're very tank heavy and kind of supportish style heavy champions here.
Right.
So if they get the Infernal Soul, that will add some damage to the mix, allow them a bit easier of a time. From C9's perspective, they need to have multiple threats because there's so much CC on the side of FlyQuest. While someone is getting focused, the other members need to do their jobs in putting out that threat. And with the QSSs up, they should be able to do that. Even though Ezreal got delayed really far in the build, when Sven can get to his Sheen item completion, that threat will also be there. It's just been heavily delayed because he's down in lane and had to stop off for the QSS.
Shelly summoned up in the mid lane. Considering the mid lane tier 1 turret only has a quarter of its health left and only Wild Turtle is here right now, should be no problem for Cloud9 to be able to use this Rift Herald to successfully take that one down. FlyQuest would like to prevent Shelly from getting a second charge here onto this tier 2 if possible. A little bit of burst and the smite should be able to stop it. There it is. Turtle will pick up a couple of free souls from that one. And Cloud9 go up to 3 turrets to 1 in the overall count of those objectives. But the objective I'm mostly looking at, Mr. Kobe, is the fact that that Infernal Soul is just 3 minutes away unless Cloud9 has something to say about it. And I think your assessment of things is 100% correct. Having that extra burst on this team that doesn't necessarily have some champions that are clocking in at a 9 out of 10 on the damage scale will be so important for them being able to close this game out against Cloud9, and C9's got to know that too. They've got to be respecting that. QSS now completed on to Blabber, so Power of Evil's job has become more difficult. It's all about trying to facilitate that QSS being used from some other kind of CC. Have Ignar go in, have Turtle land some kind of a snare, get a taunt from the Shen, make the QSS be forced for something else, and then use your skill button. Then press R on enemy player and secure 300 gold.
All right, in preparation for the Dragon, we need to go over lane assignments as they are going to be really important in the setup for both teams here. Cloud9, they have to find a way to answer the extra pressure for Solo. Since he's got Stand United and Teleport available, FlyQuest has a very easy time with already existing control wards in the river, giving them a very easy time of getting the deeper vision and getting the easy setup around the Dragon. Them being the ones with Malzahar ult plus a bunch of CC they can chain on top of it. Ignar's Rakan going to be one of the big ones. Means that when you get that setup, it's so difficult for C9 to actually face check in, and they're going to have to be very quick with their QSSs. Good that they do have 3, because they're definitely going to have to use them in this Dragon fight. So C9 have correctly sent Licorice up to the top side to try and get it pushing into the Shen first, because they know time is going to be a very valuable commodity for them, and they need to make a quick push.
Yeah, so important. The difference in seconds could be the difference in a good play and a bad play here for either of these teams. Still less than 2,000 gold separating them, with a slight edge going towards Cloud9. But remember that across their team, they've had to invest about 4,000 gold in QSSs. So that's always something that's very important to take note of when you're comparing gold in games where one side has to pay heed to those suppressions and being able to avoid them. As you can see a little bit of skill shots being thrown out here, but honestly not a lot of damage connecting. Power of Evil did just lose his passive spell shield there. You mentioned that in Champion Select, how there's a lot of things that can pop that as Ignar's going in. Here comes some damage coming out as Blabber has to try to escape now. Ignar using the stasis to keep himself alive. Stand United also going to be showing up there onto Power of Evil. And that's all she wrote. The QSSs have been used on jungler and mid from the side of Cloud9. Power of Evil used his ultimate. Solo and Ignar also used their own. Turtle and Santorin still have ultis ready to go. Blabber also has his, but Licorice, that GP ultimate, that big teamfight spell, is not available moving forward here, as Power of Evil has used his teleport to rejoin the fray. Cloud9 going after the Drake, starting things up. This is how this team likes to play. They don't want to sit around and wait. They don't want to do a dance for it. They want to force the issue and make FlyQuest respond. Santorin still with that ulti ready to go here on the Volley Bear. Does FlyQuest try to 50-50 this? Blabber is still in the Drake pit. FlyQuest is still going in. Solo's after the taunts. Niski's running away. Blabber still on the Infernal Drake. Now he's going in, looking to make the kick. He's able to find it onto Power of Evil, who flashes over the wall. Blabber's going to be the first kill of the fight, and Ignar's going to join him. It's a 1-for-1 here so far. Cloud9 with low health bars having to run themselves away. Turtle walks a little bit too close. Nearly eats the damage from that barrel. Down to 1/3 HP here on the Senna. Solo over the wall, trying to clear away some of this vision, trying to get back now and reposition himself. If he goes back to base, he does have teleport to rejoin the fight. Remember, Cloud9 has no jungler. Santorin has his flash and his smite ready to go. Sven is still trying to contest this. Niski is still trying to contest this. Power of Evil has the ulti, and Power of Evil makes sure it happens. Sven's cut down. Turtle grabs the kill, and Solo is once again hunting down the cat. The Dragon is secured by FlyQuest. Santorin will likely die here as the cost. That's a pretty big shutdown. Solo still chasing after Vulcan, needs a little bit more damage, but will not catch him. The Yuumi lives to see another day. The elusive Loot Pinata manages to walk out of a dire situation. Licorice, he finds the barrel slow onto Solo. It's Solo and Ignar trying to find the kill onto the Cloud9 top laner, but they will not do so. The flash gets Licorice out, he will live, but the big story of this whole fight is that's Infernal Soul for FlyQuest.
And I'm still questioning why it was Cloud9 that started up this Dragon. They're the team. They have to poke. They have Ezreal, Yuumi, Zoe. It's FlyQuest that want the hard engage. So when C9 are on the Dragon, FlyQuest get to do the hard engage. They dive right into the back. Blabber then, since he was in the Dragon pit, had to go for the angle to kick back Power of Evil, who then FlyQuest are able to have double flashes over the back. So the early kills going in their favor and getting the kill onto Blabber means there is no threat on this Dragon for a smite fight for Cloud9. Then they re-damage it and get it low here. Niski going for the play forward on Zoe, gets immediately locked up by Power of Evil, and Santorin can flash forward to finish him off. The saving grace for Cloud9 to get something off the backside of it is Licorice's teleport to come back in. He cleans up some kills for themselves, but Santorin is able to smite that low health dragon before it all takes place. Those Malzahar Voidlings, as well as the disease that he was going to put on it, take it down and get it low enough for him to finish it off.
The Malefic Visions?
Yeah.
The Malzahar disease, where he shows up and makes it so you gotta go to the
purple stuff all over you.
The purple stuff that makes you buy the QSS. All right, well, FlyQuest are feeling good now with that Infernal Soul locked down. It is still a Cloud9 gold advantage here. 3 big items completed on Licorice's Gangplank. Has the Trinity Force, the Essence Reaver, and the Liandry's. Remember that the Liandry's damage amplification is not just magic damage. It is all damage your champion does. If you're in Twitch chat and your solo queue rating is silver 4 and you're typing KEKW at the Liandry's, read what the item does. I guarantee you, tooltips are there to help you, and you've got to properly understand why this item is built. It makes the ulti so powerful because being in the ulti range is going to slow you down. The burn will do so much damage because it's based on your health. Doesn't matter if you have AP ratios. And that 10% damage ramp means a lot when you have big 1,000 damage barrels showing up.
All right. Well, FlyQuest packing the Infernal Soul for themselves. Looking at one more victory to get them their guaranteed spot at Worlds. It would be the organization's first appearance at Worlds. This would be huge for them if they can make it happen. Level 16 now on Power of Evil with the Malzahar, and the triple item power spike is so big for him. You know, Deathcap coming in on top, you know, of the Ludens and Liandry's is going to be a big teamfight presence. And now with the Soul at their backs, they can just set up around Baron, plenty of wards, and look for the engage. Ignar has the faith that with a Stand United on his back, he can go for a very deep flank.
Oh, Spin, that is not the person that you can afford to lose at the beginning of the fight here, but now they're going to be able to turn things around, and Power of Evil is down. Ignar likely going to be killed off now as well. Blabber with the Sonic Wave making the play, and Blabber manages to take down the enemy support. Cloud9 have lost their AD carry, but they've killed 2 from FlyQuest. Licorice and Niski are still alive, and boy, do they deal a lot of damage. Wild Turtle nearly killed off instantly there as FlyQuest have to retreat.
Yeah, Cloud9 are pretty good at chasing down here. They have lost the Ezreal, but they're still able to poke down and force FlyQuest back underneath their turret. They should take the opportunity to try and kill some of these control wards that they've laid down and set up around Baron, because you need to take the advantage on Summoner's Rift, transition it into some sort of vision for yourself. There's no reason for FlyQuest not to pull another setup very quickly. 1 minute and 25 seconds left on the Elder Dragon as well, which is a little bit less dangerous of a setup for you to try and pull off. So they can transition over to that area. Scuttle Crab being there as well will give them that guaranteed vision.
This game is so damn close. It could go either way so easily. Cloud9 would love to take us to a Game 5, earn that world spot for themselves. Especially, think back, man. Think back to spring, to the fact that Cloud9 was the only team that mattered in LCS in spring. I know it was Cloud9 and 9 other dudes who happened to be hanging out in the same building. And
yeah,
then,
it was not close. Just
no comparison
dominating
at all. And then now in summer, it was looking that same way for the first half, and then all of a sudden, they flew too close to the sun, the wings melted, turns out they're human after all, and this team would love to be able to say, yeah, we're the first North American team going to Worlds by winning this series here today. But FlyQuest have proved to be absolutely worthy opponents going up against them here, making Cloud9 work for it, meeting them on the field of how aggressive they want to play the game, of how well they work together as a team. And honestly, this series has been a lot of fun to watch.
Definitely has, and we're not done yet. FlyQuest with the setup on the Elder. They've got the Infernal. They've got the wards leading up. You can see through this red quadrant of the jungle. Ignar going for the flank.
Okay, This is huge. Elder Drake demands a team fight. It is the sacrifice before the god of neutral objectives, as Cloud9 do not want to allow FlyQuest to just take this one away for free. FlyQuest with that Infernal Soul will be able to potentially make some burst damage happen. Santorin's going in, trying to use the ulti to buffer away from the Zoe sleep. Licorice on the front line. Ignar's likely going to be killed off here. Blabber goes in. Instead, he's going to be the one to die. Everybody from FlyQuest still alive. Licorice at 1/4 HP. Sleepy Trouble Bubble down onto Power of Evil. Niski also below half, trying to get himself away. Solo has returned to the front lines here yet again on this Shen, making so much happen, being the meatball for FlyQuest. Elder Drake at 2/3 HP. It is the jungler dead yet again on Cloud9. There is no 50-50. There is no smite contest. It would have to be a Zoe, but it's not going to be anything. It's a kill onto the Elder Drake. It's a kill onto Sven. How?
They've done it. They've done it, Flowers. Elder Dragon picked up for FlyQuest. They killed Sven again. QSS up. FlyQuest will take the Elder Dragon. They will take the Baron. And they've got the trifecta for the second time in this series.
Oh my goodness. 1-5-1 on Sven's Ezreal. I have to be critical of how he's played these past couple of games. The Ezreal was looking pretty mean earlier, but his positioning has just got him caught time and time again. You can see here, Santorin started this fight, initiating on Sven.
And then that Ignar plus solo flank with the Rakan and Shen to the back lines. They're able to follow up on it. Then Blabber going in with Ignar back to the rest of FlyQuest. They're able to focus fire and take down the jungler. As you said, without the smite here, again for one of these critical objective fights then, FlyQuest with multiple re-engages. Solo blocking a Zoe follow-up on that bubble that they did get past towards Power of Evil was also very big. Protecting his carry, because that would have been one of the only openings. Sven gets tagged by that Senna snare again. Wild Turtle sets it up. This man has consistently landed those Senna W's onto Sven's Ezreal over and over in this series. Happened again. They take him down, and you definitely know they are going to hear it, especially since Cloud9 have been so stubborn with their champ select, focusing so heavily on the Ezreal Yuumi. Now FlyQuest, though, they get to take their victory parade down the mid lane of Summoner's Rift.
Let's put the brakes on the parade. They still have to kill the Nexus. I don't know if it's time for the fanfare and fireworks here just yet. It's still a 3,000 gold game. Cloud9 still have inhibitor turrets standing, and of course, as soon as I say it, the bottom one just falls apart. And FlyQuest are pushing into the C9 base. Massive minion wave in the bottom lane, doing work onto the inhib. FlyQuest playing this patiently, trying to make sure they're not overcommitting to anything here, giving Cloud9 the opportunity to go in and make a play. Keep your eyes on Blabber. He's got his flash ready to go. He's got his kick ready to go. If they initiate at all, I fully expect it to be off of him. Cloud9's team does not have initiation tools besides a flash kick from Blabber. What is Gangplank going to do? What is Zoe going to do? What is Ezreal or the Cat going to do? These are not initiator champions, and it's very difficult for Cloud9 to start things on their own terms. Santorin there on the front line here, making sure he's the one soaking the skill shots, not giving Lee Sin a path into the back line. Wild Turtle escaping away from that paddle star that was headed towards him, not too worried about that. One inhibitor remains. FlyQuest, if they take this one down, they doom Cloud9 to an eternity of super minions flowing into this base. Well, more like 5 minutes, but that feels like an eternity. In those kinds of situations, man, it feels so bad. Cloud9 have 1.5 Nexus turrets remaining. Cloud9 are one team fight away from going to the loser's bracket. FlyQuest are this close to qualifying for Worlds. Nexus turret number 1 is gone. Cloud9 must make their defense here. Wild Turtle could be the target. Ignar goes into the ulti, but Cloud9 disengaged well enough that Ignar does not want to overcommit underneath that remaining turret. All 11 turrets on the Cloud9 side have disintegrated. It is the Nexus and the Nexus alone standing in the C9 base. As FlyQuest's Baron buff wears off, they are now looking to continue the push in their natural state. Ready to go for the Nexus itself. Here comes your team fight.
Sven's barely kept alive after the ulti comes through from the Senna. FlyQuest will focus the Nexus, and FlyQuest are your first North American team going to Worlds 2020.
Congratulations to all of the players, to the organization. FlyQuest's first appearance at Worlds will be 2020. Man, these players have worked so hard for it too. This is one of the teams that over the last couple of years has made such a big turnaround. Just look at Solo.
That is such a genuine expression of joy from that man. And you know what, Kobe? He deserves it. As more than anybody, he had to play Shen into GP and just get smacked upside the head every single game. And he did exactly what he needed to do. He stood united at the right times. He frontlined properly for his team. And all of FlyQuest, I am impressed with how these guys played today, and they deserve that victory that they earned.
Solo wasn't even on an academy team until FlyQuest picked him up.
Yeah.
And now he's going to Worlds with this team. What a story it has been. I mean, it's so much with just the rebrand of the entire organization as well. They've done great on social. They've done great in the game, in the LCS. You know, happy to see the hard work really rewarded.
And man, you know, after a series like this, there's going to be some turtles out there getting saved from the donations they're going to be making for these wins. You love to see it. FlyQuest showing up with a 3-1 victory over Cloud9. The one game that they lost was, again, sort of just like a wacky random throw in the Drake pit that then turned into a very swift win for Cloud9. Almost all of the games were super close throughout. FlyQuest and Cloud9 just going blow for blow. And it was FlyQuest that managed to outperform Cloud9, win in the team fights, pick Sven over and over and over again. And when you've got a guy with a Yuumi, all of a sudden, two people are now out of position. So now Yumi's got to just cut bait and run, try to find her way onto somebody else. Ezreal gets picked, and FlyQuest just figured out how to get it done time and time again.
Yep, definitely props to them. Excited to see as they progress through the playoffs as well, because as much focus and as big of a reward is a guaranteed spot at Worlds, you don't want to stop there. Your eyes should always be on the #1 spot. The goal here is to win the split for this team, just as it is for Team Liquid, for the rest of the teams that are still in playoffs. Everybody's still looking at the trophy.
Well, one last congratulations from us to FlyQuest. Congratulations being the first North American team to qualify for Worlds. Now that it's all wrapped up, we are going to take a break. We're throwing a commercial right now, but once we come back, we will hear from Power of Evil in your Verizon post-game interview. You don't want to miss that. Don't go anywhere.